Hello, everybody. I'm delighted that I'm having a quick chat with one of our mark holders, Will Saunders from Goodwill Studios here today. So, hi, Will. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. And it's good to see us matching today.
I know it's like we're definitely going green for the Friday here. The weather's pretty full on outside, so really nice to talk to you today. So tell me a little bit more about Goodwill Studios and what you do up there. I know you work around the branding space and specifically social enterprises, ethical businesses, businesses that do good is really your sort of niche area for your own customers. Tell me a little bit more about who they are, exciting projects you're working on, kind of tell me more.
Awesome. Yeah, so as you said, Goodwill Studios, we're a social enterprise, we're proud to be a social enterprise mark holder. And we basically work with other social enterprises, purpose-driven businesses, and those who I call the polite rebels, who are, gently changing the world through their business. They've seen that there's an injustice or something that needs to be fixed, and they're using, the skills and the business to do just that. And I help them build a powerful brand that stands out, cuts through the noise, and helps them to change the world.
Okay, really interesting. So I noticed on your website you've also got a social impact brand score, sort of little tool, little app. So that looked really interesting because I think one of the things that just in general branding, aside from social enterprises, which we'll talk a little bit more in a moment, but brand and values and social impact, they kind of get a little bit kind of swill around in the wash. And I think that tool that you've put up there is really interesting. It's a real prompt to make any organisation consider how their logo actually works with their values and how that actually outflows into their impact.
Yeah, so the social impact brand scorecard is effectively for those who are on a social impact mission and how their brand can help them achieve that. So when we talk about brand, you mentioned the logo, which is obviously the kind of the most visual, most visceral identifier of a brand and the business. But the way this social impact brand scorecard works, it kind of goes deeper, and it's mapped to my 4 brand building stages that I take my clients through. So effectively, the scorecard, it takes 2 minutes and 47 seconds to complete based on the data of my people going through it. And you effectively get a personalized report to score you on your brand foundation, which is how your purpose is baked into your brand, the values and whether that's effective or not. The second step is all about your brand story. So how effectively you're speaking to your audience and telling your own personal story as a founder and how that relates to, your mission and how your audience resonates with that. The third step is all about purposeful positioning. So understanding your industry ecosystem, how you stand out in this potentially ever saturated market, right? And how your brand differentiation is working for you. And the fourth and final step is all about the visual expression. So how effectively, like you said, your logo and your outward visual expression of your values and your mission is cutting through. So you can check out that scorecard on my website and spend just under 3 minutes, get your personalized report, and then that'll be a really good benchmark to see how you're doing, and then I can work with you to improve that score and be more effective.
Oh, fantastic. Because I think a lot of design agencies out there, that, some cracking design agencies, and all too often a business will kind of go, oh, I need a new brand, I need a new logo kind of thing. And coming from a design perspective, it's just like, yeah, I can tell you that pink squiggle in the top left-hand corner represents engineering. But I think it's really important, and it's often the part that does get missed, but perhaps is becoming a little bit moving towards front and center is getting this values piece. Any organization is founded on the values of that organization. Social enterprises in some ways, obviously, because they've got those clearly stated social environmental objects, that's a kind of easier anchor to start building a brand. But it's so important, isn't it, to really get those values of the organization right that then are manifested through their brand, rather than just kind of diving straight into developing a logo, which is a bit like deciding what color tie you're going to wear today to a meeting, perhaps.
Yeah, of course, because that's the thing, not to undermine the importance of the design aspect or the visual element, but if it is viewed only as a fancy coat of paint, and if there's nothing underneath it, then there's a risk that you won't be effective, because you're not building on a good, strong foundation. Your team don't understand, why you exist. They won't be on the same page, and there's always risk of like mission drift when you don't have that strong foundation and your brand doesn't really stand for anything, and you haven't got that what I call the ultimate social purpose. When that's not like a codified brand statement that's written down, then there's a risk of internal confusion, which results in messy and inconsistent marketing outward. So yeah, just slapping a lovely design logo on something that's not solid isn't probably going to help in the long run. And that's what I've learned through becoming a social enterprise myself, working with those who put people and planet over profit or alongside profit. It starts off with that brand foundation, and then you work through the steps, and then you understand how we want to look and feel, and it's just much more, a solid way to build a brand, really.
And you've also very kindly mentioned that you are a social enterprise mark holder. So can I just sort of very quickly just ask, how do you use that brand, if you like, the accreditation brand, to benefit Goodwill Studios? How does that work for you?
So it's effectively to show that I put my money where my mouth is, and I understand, I suppose, the industry in which I work and live and thrive, and I suppose it's assigned to other social enterprises and potentially social enterprise mark holders that we're on the same page. We live and breathe the same values as you do. Obviously you have to be good at what you do. We have to be good at the brand building work that we do. But I always love to work with those who share my values, because that first conversation, it just flows. It's like, okay, right, I love what you're doing. I absolutely love what you're doing. I want to use, the services or the products that you're making, as well as working with you on a professional relationship. So it's almost like a beacon to say, this is us, this is what we stand for. If you share these values too, let's have a conversation.
So it's almost about finding your tribe, isn't it? I guess. Big part of the social enterprise tribe. So yeah, and a great movement and tribe it is. And I guess that sort of very neatly leads into a question in my head around social enterprises and how good are social enterprises at telling their own story, which obviously, goes right back to those roots that you talked around in terms of values and brand, and then actually sort of articulating that through their marketing communications.
Some are really good, they understand the value of their brand and their story and how they can really leverage that. Sometimes the founder's story is as important as like the business story itself. But I find others, social enterprises, are perhaps more focused on making the positive impact and doing the good work, which is great. But they often neglect other parts of the business, which I've said, like either the foundational side of things or the visual identity, because it's hard to stand out and look great and communicate your quality and your values and your value if you're not looking the way you should, or you're not effectively communicating that story and why you do it and how you're better than the less sustainable competitor, for example. So I do see that quite a bit, that, you know, these good businesses, social enterprises, they're doing great work, but they potentially neglect the kind of brand building and, I suppose, the bigger marketing picture, which, you know, sometimes holds them back.
Yeah, and I think it's always valuable, isn't it, to actually have that sort of neutral, objective, external pair of eyes, because particularly where social enterprises go through these different scale and growth stages, a brand that was developed 5-10 years ago may not fully reflect how the business has changed, and obviously we know there's a lot of pivoting going on through you know, sort of COVID times, but also actually future scaping their market and their customers and developing new products and services. So even actually having that kind of brand review, it doesn't have to be a wholesale, you know, chop and change, does it? It's just really important to kind of have sight of your brand and your messaging, and how that's being articulated.
Exactly, yes. In fact, you know, a recent project that I worked on, where exactly at that point they were at a level of growth. They were expanding, they were developing more services, and they were really locked into their old brand style. You know, they hadn't really updated in many years, and they had realized that they had evolved and grown. So what they had was like locking them back. So we had to kind of go through the process that I've just outlined and realize, okay, if we want to position ourselves, you know, for the future, we need to be over here. So therefore we need to look differently. We need to say things a bit differently, still building upon, you know, the core foundation, but just articulating that in a more relevant way that's more in line with, you know, the current team and you know, the industry that they're in now.
So Goodwill Studios are hosting a brand clinic, aren't they? So tell me what sort of attendees for your brand clinic that you're running for our mark holders, what can they expect through that?
Yeah, sure. So if some of the challenges and situations that we've outlined, you know, in that chat sound like you, or you resonate with what we've spoken about, then this is a free 45-minute one-to-one session with me, which you can book onto with the link below or associated with this post. And it's effectively uncovering some of the challenges that you're facing right now. You know, are you having struggles to consistently get that brand message that your audience loves, or are you feeling a bit held back by, you know, dated or coupled together, you know, brand identity? So what we'll do is we'll work through some of the common challenges, offer some ideas and insights. You know, I go in with an open mind, don't have all the answers to start with, and we will start to build a bit of a strategy to help you overcome them, so you can, you know, make a bigger impact through your brand and help create more consistency internally, you know, more harmony in the team, and then that makes you more effective in, you know, delivering that social impact that at the end of the day is, you know, why we're here, right?
So that sounds to it. I do love an alliteration, so I'm going to put this one kind of out there. So a quick capture. It sounds to me like they're going to get sort of 3 E's out of this. They're going to get a much better understanding of embedded values through their brand. They're going to kind of get that endorsement of those values in the way that they can articulate their brand, but that's also backed up by that kind of evidencing piece that they do what they say they do, and that's amplified through their brand. Would that be a fair kind of wrap up?
Yeah, I like that. And I like the 3 E's. It's always good to have that alliteration, and that works hand in hand with the scorecard, you know, brand audit that, you know, you're welcome to go through either before or after the one-to-one brand clinic session with me, so we can assess where you're at, how you're doing. Because if you don't measure it, it's hard to manage it, and we want to improve, you know, what we're doing, right?
Fantastic. Well, Will, can I thank you for your time today? And I'm sure that our mark holders that come onto the brand clinic and take advantage of that offer to do some one-to-one work with you. We look forward to hearing lots of really good success stories. And yeah, we're going to keep a watchful eye on all of those great social enterprise brands. So thank you for your time today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sally. Speak again soon.
Okay. Bye.